It is not uncommon for people to state that their greatest fear is dementia. Empowering Seniors is tackling this topic head-on. Join us as we continue this journey together.
Welcome to Empowering Seniors. I'm Katherine Ambrose, and we are continuing our discussion on dementia. We're moving further along in the process. I have Teepa Snow here with me. Teepa, let's talk a little bit about the positive approach to care that you go all over the world teaching and why that's so important.
Well, I believe it's important because if we can't find something to celebrate as we help someone on a journey of loss, all we feel is the pain. And all we experience is loss ourselves, loss of relationship, loss of control, loss of options. And if we're in a state of loss, it's really hard to get your energy moving in a good direction. And so by looking at who somebody is right now, who they used to be, what do we still have, then I can offer support and good things happen. And that's true. I was excited that you opened with energy because when most people talk about later state of dementia, usually it's, oh, she's in the later state. Instead of, well, she's further in the journey, but let's talk about, she was diamond-like and emerald-like, and now we're more amber, ruby, pearl. And when I say those words, your brain doesn't go, oh, how awful. It goes, oh, well, that's different, which is a good thing. Because amber, let's say, is very changeable. When we think about amber, I selected it because it's sap comes out of a tree, something gets stuck on the sap, more sap runs over, and it hardens up. So it's something caught in a moment of time. And each amber is going to be totally unique and different. And these are people caught in a moment of time. I mean, so that's what they are. They're caught in that moment. And so it's very sensory oriented. I like the taste of this. I like the feel of that. I hate that. And so when they don't like something, we need to be really quick responsive, because when they start going, no, we want to go, no, you don't want that. And I need to real quick recognize, whoa, if I keep going, this is going to go badly. If they show me they really like something, I've got to be careful, because if they like one piece of chocolate and there's a whole tray of chocolate, guess what will happen?
They'll want all of it.
It'll all be gone, and they'll be sick, especially if it's diabetic chocolate, because you're trying to cut back on the sugar. Oh, my heavens, now we're going to have another problem on the other end, which will be uncomfortable for all of us. So learning that art of sensory support without overdoing it, and helping to recognize, whoa, they're not liking this. How am I going to get this done? And the art of substitution, not subtraction, and the idea that they don't recognize objects for use. So they pick something up that's not edible and taste it. And it's like, oh, geez. So really reevaluating environment. But a ruby, and that's where we're going to see some really different abilities. Not a lot of dexterity, not a lot of foot skill, not a lot of mouth skill, not a lot of language, not even a lot of trunk mobility or support. So mostly full body things, and you know, and then, but then amazing ability to sing or dance or suddenly pray in full volume, full throat, absolutely glorious. And so it's those moments where you go, what hidden strength? And the ruby to me has a lot of hidden with it.
What a blessing that would be to see your loved one come awake like that with prayer or with singing. So why are they able to do that?
Yeah, because that is the right temporal lobe as opposed to the left, and it's rhythm-based, and we retain rhythm and lose language. And we also retain things that we learned with rhythm so much better than things that we learned intellectually. So if I start you with, don't sit under the
apple tree.
Yeah, now you can finish that off because of that, but I could also go A, B,
C, D,
E, F,
G,
H. Now why did you stop on G? Because
that's how we were taught.
That's how you learn it. But it also means, what comes next? How do you know that?
We just do.
Yeah, and so, and are you old enough to know what it means?
Yeah, I do.
Shave
and a haircut. 2 bits.
There you go, perfect. And so now what happened to you when you caught that and you got it?
Well, I was happy I could answer one of your questions
Absolutely.
correctly.
Guess what?
It's fun.
So are people living with dementia, even in Ruby State. Because I can still have a sense of accomplishment, of celebration, but only when I set it up so you can be successful.
Yeah, it's really cool. Plus, that takes you back to happy memories.
Oh my heavens, doesn't it though? Yeah. Da 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 da. Now, notice I didn't say anything about
Right.
clapping, and yet your brain automatically. So those are those rhythms that are built deep. And so what that means is I'm triggering a part of the brain that's still surviving at this point. And why not we use what we got?
So that's Ruby stage, and then what happens with Pearl?
Yeah, and so what happens with Pearl is the entire cortex is starting to really have flaws and weaknesses and missing pieces. And what I have is the core of the brain, but even the core of my brain is working hard to just keep it going. So we'll often see tremendous weight loss, a lot of curling into more of a fetal position, a lot of time spent in survival, just re-energizing. We'll see the muscles start to waste. And it's not because people aren't doing the best they can, it's simply because the brain has decided, I know where to get protein. Protein is hard to take in and digest and absorb, and so I've got a plan. We already have some. It's stored. It's stored in our muscles. And so our brain is working really hard to figure out how to keep this machine running until it's time to leave. And it wants to leave with all the shelves empty. Because why waste something? So this idea of we have a finite time and reflexes start to rule, I can't fix that. But we spend so much time worrying about the shell. And taking care of the shell, we forget what's really the vital part, that human being that's in that shell that is still present, for moments. But then we can't drag them out and make them stay. Mom, 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 look at me, versus, Mom, oh, what a beautiful
Morning.
Yeah, and the eyes may open and she may only go because she doesn't have the breath control anymore. But in that moment, there's my mom. Celebrate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a look at what some spaces might look like and visit with some people.
Yeah. So Johnny, I am from North Carolina, and you're from?
Well, let's see. I'm from
Kansas or somewhere else? What do you think? I'm wondering if you're from Kansas. It's as good a place as any to be from, isn't it?
that's right.
That's right. So, now here's a question for you. Are you a city girl or a country girl?
I'm really a country girl.
Oh, me too. Me too. Did you ever have to pick corn?
Yes.
Yeah. Did you ever have to pick tomatoes?
Oh, yes, many times.
Did you ever have to can tomatoes?
Not really.
Oh, Mama did that. Johnny, I have something I'd like you to take a look at. Can I show you something? Okay, let me show you. I've got something right down here I'm going to show you. Take a look at this. What do you think? What do you think about this?
I looked at this just a minute the other day,
The other day?
and I wondered how in the world I got hooked into this.
How did you get hooked into this? Because it looks like somebody has been braiding this right here.
Yeah,
Yeah. Are you much for braiding?
not really.
Not really. And down here you got some different things. What are these little things down here? What do they look like? Is that a button or something else? What do you think about these little guys down here?
That comes up where my sewing.
Oh, with sewing. You're absolutely right. It does come up with sewing. I put a button on something after it came off. Yeah, how about this thing? What do you think about that? Can you pull down on that for me? See if you can get it to pull down. This one right here. Man, can you pull it down? I'll hold it if you can see if you can get it to go. Got it? And pull down on it. It's real little, isn't it? You got it? Yeah. Keep going. We almost got it all the way. Whew, that's a lot of work. Whoa, you did it.
We did, didn't we?
We did it. We got that one done. And look at this. Ooh, I want to show you this one. Take this bead and see if you can pull it all the way to the end. See if you can pull it all the way to the, yeah, see, get this green one. See if you can do it that way too. Pull this green one down. Up here, this guy right here.
Oh, okay.
Okay, see if you can get this fella right there. See if you can get him. Pull him down. Pull down. Real hard. That's it. You got it. Now see if you can get this yellow one. This big, fat yellow one. You'll have to reach up with this hand right there. And pull it down. Excellent. Now how about this one? Here's a little bitty green one.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
have worked on the green.
We just did work on a green one, didn't we? Here they got another one. Can you
Yeah.
get this one? Here you go. There you go. Right here and right there. And pull it down. Pull on it down. There you go. That's it. Nice. And we got one more red one. We'll be all done.
All right.
All right. Let's see if we can get this red one right here. And pull it down. Whoo! Give me a high five on that, girl. That's nice. Wow, you're pretty good at this thing. Thank you for your help.
Now you gotta know where you got these.
You know what I do? This one is a railroad sign, and this one says train station, and that one says railway station, and this one says, oh, that's a crossing, and this one says what the conductor says, all aboard. Where do you think we should go?
I don't know.
You don't know. Should we take a trip? What do you think? You know what? Let's go to Albuquerque.
All right, maybe that's a good place.
Maybe that would be a good place to go. Maybe we could get some dancing in down there.
Okay,
Yeah, would you dance with me?
sure.
Oh, wow. We'll go cut a rug. Do you think we'll get in trouble?
Well, I would, with my luck, I probably would.
You know, if you're with me, you're bound to get in trouble. Is that a good thing or not?
Oh, I was thinking a suggestion.
Oh, you got a suggestion. Tell you what, let's see what we can do with this. Ooh, try that, feel that. That's interesting. What's that feel like? That's kind of weird, isn't it? That's not like any ball I've ever felt.
Me either.
All right, well, tell you what, try tossing it in that bucket. See if you can kick it in there. See if you can get it to go right on in there.
Yeah.
Give it a shot. I'm gonna throw mine in. All right. I think you got it. Well, Johnny, I have a question for you.
All right.
Do you like looking outside?
Yes, I do.
What you seeing out there, something good?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, a car or something else? If you were going on a car ride,
I would go.
you would go.
I would go.
Would you go with me?
I'm sure I would.
I'm sure you would. Would we go on the interstate? Or on a good old country road?
Yeah.
Yeah. I bet we could find us a Coca-Cola if we went on a good old country road.
I bet so too.
I bet you're right. Would you like a Coca-Cola?
Oh, we all had pop.
Pop? Mm-hmm.
So,
Look, that's a friend of yours. That's Miss Tanya. You recognize her? Uh-huh. Uh-huh. There's a good-looking young lady over there, too, huh? She's pretty.
oh my goodness.
Oh, my goodness. Her name is Katherine. Doesn't she look pretty?
Yes, she is
I
pretty.
know. I know. She's so bright and pretty. She has on pretty colors.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think it's about time for us to let you go on your way. What do you think, Miss Johnny?
Well, if you have time, you know,
Well, I do. You know what I'd love to have before we go, though?
what would that be?
That would be a great big hug.
Well, let's get with it then.
All right, well, let's get with it. Here, let me get my foot situated, and let me come on here for a great big old hug. Ooh, I'm gonna squeeze your stuffings. Thank you for being with me.
Well, it's important that I get to see somebody because of I live close to Nebraska.
You live close to Nebraska. You are absolutely right, and it's a good thing to see people.
Yeah, it is.
And I am so glad we got to spend some time together.
Yeah, I am too.
Yeah, I loved visiting with you. You're the best. Thank you.
Well,
Wow, that was really powerful. It had me crying.
Well, it was a lot of fun for me because for me, I get to see the coming out, the being present, and knowing how to do that supportive stuff. It allows her to be who she can be, and that's kind of exciting to watch happen.
It was really fun to see her laugh and, you know, using her imagination and thinking about going somewhere. That's really what got me when she said, let's go.
Let's go. Yeah,
And-
and that was really an honest, like, yeah, I'm game wherever we're going. Let's go.
What a fun conversation, too, for a family member to know how to have that kind of interaction.
Yeah, and so, yeah, that's learning that art of how I do that supportive communication, because it's a lot of when she says something, rather than throw something at her, I bounce the ball and I pause and I see, does she want the ball or do I need to prompt her? And then, ooh, Johnny. And her name is a powerful thing. So is the touch. And so being in a space and a place, and I'm on her right side because she's right-handed, and so her comfort with that, and then seeing what she could do, and then nice work, which is real different than, nice job, sweetheart.
Yes.
Ugh.
Not condescending, but like a real conversation.
Yeah, nice job. Look at that. We got them all over. Good work.
And it was a good demonstration of what you've talked about before.
Yeah.
So the skill
Yeah.
fingers
Yeah.
versus the strength finger.
And she's really at that cusp of, she has very little skill left. I mean, she can do strong things with her fingers, but the effort it took for the zipper, then we'd want to realize that would be that kind of effort for a button, that kind of effort to make a fork work, that kind of, I mean, so everything requires a tremendous amount of focus and effort. And if I talk or interrupt, then she loses that focus and I disable her rather than enable. And simplifying becomes something to do. So when we did the balls, what did you notice about her interest in the balls?
It seemed like she was nervous, like she didn't think she could do it.
Yeah.
But then when you showed her, she kind of cheated a little bit and took it all the way to
She
the
did.
end.
Because that says she's to a place where it's much easier to hold on to something than it is to let go of something. And we talked about that, about the house. You know, I
Right.
want to hold on, and it's like, it's not working anymore. And so the muscles that allow your hand to actually let go, children learn letting go a lot later than they learn holding on to things. You have to pry them loose when they're real little. I mean, they don't know how to open their hand up spontaneously. You put something in their hand and it clasps. Late in the disease, that starts to happen.
So, and why is that? What's happening in the brain?
The cortex, the control center, the higher order skills of the brain are dying because the brain dies from up here. And what's left are the reflexes. And we're born with reflexes and learn the skills. And so you lose in the opposite way you gained. And so one of the last things people lose is hand to mouth, but not using a utensil by the end. Frequently just bringing this up or sucking from a straw, but being able to figure out how to manipulate or how big a bite or how much to put in at a time, that requires now somebody taking responsibility to support that. And so these reflexes, a lot of them will be spontaneous things. So this pulling in and this starting to curl up is one of that often later state things that happen, moving into the pearl state from the ruby state. The ruby, I mean, sitting like this becomes much more a comfortable seating than necessarily sitting with that dynamic seat. So that means we need a time and a space where this is a comfortable seat, but we also want to encourage this. And you saw Johnny do it, that, I'm ready to go, which means she's at this transition point.
So what gem state was she in during that conversation?
Now, it would vary, but between an amber and a ruby.
Okay.
A little repetition, but she couldn't really come up with a lot of words if I didn't sort of get them going. But when I gave her the words, she could follow with the rhythm, and she had a nice back and forth with some delays. But when I said Coca-Cola, she came up with pop.
Yeah.
So she came up with her own word. So that was sort of that, ooh, and you saw the brightening kind of, and so that emotional response can happen all the way through. But a lot of skills were ruby with shimmers of amber.
What I heard someone say is that they're still there, and you get
Absolutely.
those glimmers.
Yeah.
And so just being able to get those little glimpses of
Yeah.
it.
I am who I was, but I'm different. So I bet if we saw Johnny 50 years ago, we would still see pieces of what we see today in that Johnny. I mean, that Johnny would be maybe willing to take a few risks, somebody who'd jump on a train with me and go all aboard and head off, or go out and get in a car and go somewhere. So I think she was a little bit of that.
It looked like she maybe wanted to say, we'll get in trouble, or she, I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, you could just sort of see that in her. Yeah, and so to be able to still see that means that she's still there.
Talk about why you picked Pearl for the end stage, and tell us the oyster story.
Yeah. If you look at a pearl from the outside, one of the ugliest things I believe you'll ever see is that, the oyster shell, because, I mean, there's barnacles on it. It looks nasty. I mean, there is absolutely, you look at it, you think, well, there's nothing of value there. And it's slammed shut because it's ruled by reflexes. If an oyster gets concerned, it slams down. And yet it's only when it's feeling the right support that the shell opens. And you get to see this amazing thing in there. This is built on a grain of sand, layer by layer by layer. And it's this absolutely beautiful formed thing that is that human being that's trapped inside this physical space called our body. And the disease is making it so hard for them to survive. And yet, wow, in that moment when I give just the right support, they're still there. Oh my gosh. And the window opens, and in that moment, somebody could turn to you and say, oh my God, how are you? I love you. And then they might be gone again. They can only spend the littlest amount of time frequently with us because they're transitioning. And the hard part for us is learning the art of letting them go. Because they just can't stay anymore. And they'll try because we keep trying. One more bite, one more bite, one more drink, to the point where open, and we're trying so hard, and what we don't realize is we're making it so hard. Because this system is designed to empty out, get dry, and release. And we have a really hard time thinking one more bite instead of maybe it's time. and being prepared for maybe it's time before we get to time, so that we can be together and I can support that transition, because you have been spending so much time, so much energy, that quite honestly, you think there'll be nothing. And it's like, oh, but you have all that you lived through and all that you did on this journey. Mm-hmm. And with the people around you, we can celebrate that life and those moments when she said, all aboard, or we said, let's go. And yeah, and that's how we can look back and find joy in the journey.
So I noticed you ended with affection, with the hug.
Yeah.
So tell me about that.
Well, one of the things we know about people living with dementia is often they're touch deprived. Mm-hmm. And when I say touch, I mean, as human beings, I mean, this is a motion we do because we want to include and enclose and reach out. Mm-hmm. And so that offer, you want to make the offer, may I have a hug? Mm-hmm. And when I do that and I lean back, because I lean back and I do this, what's your instinct? I can see it in you.
To move forward.
Yeah, and what I want to do is offer that one last, and I said, I want to squeeze the stuffing. What I want is I want to give deep pressure, because deep pressure is calming and it also releases oxytocin. And that means I like you. And at the end of something, I want somebody to know, whether it's with a hand and a deep pressure in the hand, I want you to know, I appreciate you, and I thank you so much for being present with me, because I know it was a lot of work. And so I want to keep it short and make it so much that we both had a good time with this. And at the end, thank you for being with, helping me, trying. Thank you. Because no matter what you did, it was the best you could do in that moment. And it was the best I could do. And we're going to celebrate that, because that's what we got.
Teepa, thank you so much. This was a tough one, and we learned so much, and I feel that I have a much more positive approach.
Oh, are you empowered?
I am empowered.
All right.
And I hope you are too. Thank you for watching Empowering Seniors. I'm Katherine Ambrose, and if you have questions about this topic or any of the topics that we cover, reach out to us at empoweringSeniors@kpts.org or call 316-686-4500. Until next time, this is Empowering Seniors.